Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. Today I'm looking at another tournament match. On the left hand side we have Imposto e Roubo, and on the right hand side we have Freepoint. Now this is an important match as it is the quarter-final. The team who advances from this one gets to be in the semi-finals, and then it's only one match away from the prize, which is $50 Steam voucher per player on your team. So these teams are probably motivated and they have a tough fight ahead of them, as Blue 4, which is Freepoint, has picked Death Row. Now in case this is the first tournament match you're seeing, the rules are as follows. You're not allowed to have coalitions, you're not allowed to use the US or the USSR, you get 3,000 starting points for the entirety of your team, you play Conquest and you have no income. You play for 500 points during a match of 30 minutes and Blue 4 picks the map. Now, in this case, I usually think that Death Row favors Red 4, because Red 4 generally has a bit better infantry, especially short range. Now, in this case, of course, you cannot use Spetsnaz, but you can use Legion 90. You can use Formosa and other very, very capable infantry units. So Blue probably has a really good plan, as they have picked the map. Now, Blue consists of Krot, which, if I'm not mistaken, FM stands for Field Marshal, and we have Pakuda, who is a Brigadier General. So these guys are, at least in ranked, exceptionally skilled. Then we have Metklug, Taco FSX, and Volkov. These guys are going to be making up the Red 4 portion. Now you have the main capture sectors down the middle of the map, but the map is not the whole territory, because you also got these hills over here on the right flank and the left flank. And of course reversed if you look at it from a different perspective. And these will also be important, as in previous matches we have seen people just move up the road, and especially with motorized vehicles, be very quick to flank the enemy team, wipe out their main spawn, and then take over the other sectors or just completely eradicate the team. It seems like Taco is going to head over to Charlie. We got a fairly large motorized column heading into town. BTR 80As, SPW 50 PKs. Over on the right, T72 M1 mod, interesting. Back to Biomarksman. An XA 185 KT, BTR 50, even a Talak, making sure that probably the tank stays within smoke cover. Let's see what they meet on the other side of the road. And on this side of the road, we got the Challenger 2 from Enetic. Backed up by a Spartan, which carries even more infantry reconnaissance, a mortar, and a couple of stormers. So he's using British. Over here we got the YP408 CNV, Dutch reconnaissance vehicle. A Roland 3 from Krot, so Krot's playing Germany. 3 AMX-13 FL-12s, these are the Dutch reconnaissance tanks. A whole bunch of Fuchs from the Germans, and 408 PWIs from the Dutch. Judging by the level of veterancy, probably the Corps Mariniers units. Also backed up by a Lars 2, we have a Tiger 2 helicopter on the far right flank. And let's see, are they prepping any maneuvers to the left and right? Well, they have helicopters here, Lynx AH-7s. These guys, considering they're British and elite, probably SAS. Potentially SBS, but SAS on these areas I think would make more sense. I'm not sure what's going on here. Volkov is saying, this is so sad because Alexa's playing Despacito. Or maybe that's the order, Alexa play Despacito. And there's a whole bunch of communication going on here, which I think is directed at me, as Matt is saying, hello Comrade Stealth. Totally win, and then we get $50. It's that simple. We win. So anyway, this is our plan. Their plan is to win. Yeah, no, that's straightforward. I don't think that's... Yeah, it's pretty much all you need to do in this game mode. You just need to win. And if you win, you advance to the semi-final. So there's a lot riding on this situation for these teams. Now, if either of the teams loses, they're not quite out of the tournament yet, because there is still a way to come back. The tournament in its current form is a double elimination phase, which means that if you lose in the main bracket, you're getting moved over to a secondary bracket, which Challenge has very delicately named the losers bracket. If you win there, and you keep winning, and you win the entirety of that bracket, you come back into the main bracket. Now, in case this sounds confusing, have a look at the challenge page, which I have linked down below in the description, and everything will become clear. Anyway, if either Freepoint or Imposto loses this match, they are not out of the tournament, and we can still see them in future matches. They can still come back, because the winner of the secondary bracket gets to jump all the way to the finals, where they will face off against, of course, the winners from the semi-final. And the farther we get into the tournament, the more expert the players get. I'm seeing a lot of Brigadier Generals. I mean, we got Razman's team, who's also coming up. We have Blitzhoundberg, also a very, very competent team. And, well, I don't know who's going to win yet, because we haven't gotten that far yet. Alright, we have the Lynx AH-7s moving over to the left. Over on the right, there does not seem to be that much going on, but they do have a bit of an air patrol going up, in case the enemy decides to flank around with helicopters. Now, can Bluefer already see the Mi-4? No, not yet. Also a Tornado F3 from Enetic circling around. No early napalm drops on either side. They have an Mi-24P, which can be providing very valuable assistance in the town of Charlie if it can get those rocket pods onto a target. Mi-2, that might be spotted at this point. Yeah, they know that there's an Mi-2 there. Also a group of Red 4 units moving through the forest here. All elites. 185 KT as well. Dangerous unit, although encountering it in the forest is slightly less so. Dutch YP-408 going very far ahead of the group. And wiping out a few of the transports. It's now taking fire though, losing stabilization and getting killed as the BTR-80s roll into town. Still, this might have bought them a little bit of time to drop off the Corps Mariniers. AMX-13s are going to have a really rough time as the Yukonde move into town. Again, with backup from the BTRs, but now the BTRs are getting murdered by, I think, the AMXs. Or at least the AMXs are trying, but failing at hitting their target. Over on the left, we have a clash between the Challenger 2, Yikeri, and, if it makes it out of the smokescreen, the T-72 M1 mod. Now, this tank can do 23 AP and has 21 frontal armor. The Challenger has 23 frontal armor and 22 AP. So the Challenger, in this case, has the advantage, as the T-72 M1 mod would need to close to a little bit closer range than max range in order to just damage the Challenger 2. Whereas the Challenger 2 at max range can damage the T-72 M1 mod. But neither tank are firing at maximum range, as the smoke screens have pushed them quite close together. There's a Royal Marine group, or several in fact, which are operating against the LSTR, which have been spotted. If they lose that, that's pretty expensive. That's 70 points. And Matt is trying to pull these guys back into the forest, getting pursued immediately by the Royal Marines. In town, it seems like the Dutch are currently taking point. We got the Corps Mariniers, and the backup from the AMX-13s is still proving very valuable, as most of the vehicles are getting killed off. There is a Flampanzer here, and surprisingly it actually manages to get a hit. These things are usually not very accurate. Most of the time I use these just for their napalm capability, not so much because they happen to have a D10T main gun, because it's so inaccurate. Now this is when the Mi-24P comes in. It manages to kill both AMXs, but then gets killed off by a couple of Rolands. There is a quad stack of Fallschirmjäger 90, and these are holding the infantry at bay. Motorschützen 90 currently on the run as they're all panicked. And the Motorschützen 90, and this is a triple stack, they are holding calm deeper into the woods. We do appear to have a bit of an incursion over here as an Mi-4 is coming in. And I think that the Tiger knows about it, as the Tiger has fired all 4 of its stingers. So this Mi-4 needs to be stopped, although it only carries a machine gun. It's not that likely to do much, but you can see that there is a response from Pakuda, who's deploying a line of YP-408s. Over here in the forest, we had the clash between the Royal Marines and the LSTR, and they managed to wipe out one of the LSTR groups. There is also SCS versus potentially more LSTR, and 2 Lynx AH-7s are making it around the flank. At the same time, a couple of YP-408s from the right come in. This could be bad news, but Taco is prepared. And he has a couple of Ranako Yekeris sitting on the edge of the forest. KCT are going to be in a rough fight if they want to take these guys out. Fortunately, they cannot really back each other up, except with anti-tank weapons. And it seems like the AH-7s got wiped out. At least I think one got wiped out with a Sergei, considering that they expended a bit of ammunition. Maybe they did wipe out the CV and Alpha, though. That would be valuable. If this Lynx can make it to here, they can wipe out another command infantry. But I think the marksmen wouldn't quite agree with that. But they did take out the mortar. That could prove vital, as it means no more smoke cover for infantry and tanks alike. KCT having a really rough time. The KCT are trying to fall back, and Volkov is charging them down with a quad stack of BTR 60Ps and assorting infantry. Now, how are we looking? Blue 4 has 35 points and is gating. Red 4 can still come back from this. They just need to put a CV in here and hold the line and steadily wear the Blue 4 forces down. But the Corps Mariniers, 95, well, generally they don't get worn down. These guys are so hard to get rid of. Very accurate, very good staying power, excellent recovery from morale damage as they are elite. And the Motorschützen are, yeah, there we go, they're just getting butchered by these guys, really without taking too many losses on the parts of the Corps Mariniers. Now, the smokes from Blue 4 is still coming in. They have an AS-90, which is providing smoke cover. And, yep, we have the Challenger 2 on the move. The T-72 M1 mod is on its last legs. It's down to 1 hit point. If either the Charlie 2 or the Royal Marines can push, and there you go, Taco has recognized it. If either of these guys can push, they can wipe out the T-72-1. And potentially just roll that Challenger right down this road. Over on the right, the SAS that were here had, I think, an unfriendly encounter with another group. As the SAS are now gone, and the LSTR are starting to push back. Over on the far left, we got an F4F, seemingly screening against enemy helicopter forces, if any. And Red 4 is trying something with the BTR 60P. Tiger currently engaging. Just look at the slow speed of those Hot 2 missiles. They did wipe out what I think was a napalm tank there, TO-55. And this means that Red 4 has lost almost all of its infantry, save for one group of Yikonde. There are some reinforcements in the back, but Blue 4 pretty much has a clear line and, well, just a home stretch to get to the command infantry. They're once again bombing the tank, or shelling the tank. The tank has been repaired some, as it's back to 6 out of 10 hit points. Blue 4 doesn't really need to push, as they do have the advantage. And if they can just secure this sector by putting a CV in there, then they will be at a +2 as they neutralize Charlie for Red 4. The question is that a priority for them, or do they just want to maintain their position as is? A couple of Yukyonde just bypassing all the Corps Mariniers, which are already getting reinforced. The Fallschirmjäger might not catch these guys, but the Tiger does. And it still had a few rocket pods remaining, wiping out one Yukyonde group immediately. We still have a 1 loose BTR 60P, which is still trying to flank. And the LSTR here, they're holding. These guys have 3, but the 10 group is pushing. Royal Marines on the move, encountering the Erics. I think that this might be bad news for the Erics, as Royal Marines are quite good in infantry-to-infantry warfare, but they're about to get their hands full if this marksman joins this fight. 7 frontal armor. There we go, it's opening up against the Royal Marines. Getting these guys very, very panicked, stunned. Thankfully, artillery is trying to assist, but not enough. Challenger 2 should have an easy time wiping out the marksmen. Another group of Royal Marines is pushing. And the Milan team is just pestering any vehicles that manage to get towards the road and which are trying to push from the road. Looks like the Challenger 2 got a really rough reception from the LSTR as they managed to get a side shot on it barely surviving. This tank has to get serious repairs before it's able to push again. So for the moment, Red 4 has held off the butchery that the Challenger 2 could inflict. Corps Mariniers, this time getting split up. Wiping out vehicles left and right. Motor shoots in down the middle. And it looks like Red 4 was able to put up a bit more of a defensive line and recapture Alpha. So they're no longer bleeding points. Blue is sitting at a very comfortable 71 points. They don't really need to push as much. But at the same time, if they don't do too much and Red manages to catch or capture another sector or potentially wipe out a CV, which I think is particularly unlikely, then Red 4 could be gaining some points again. But for now, I don't see that happening. BTR 60P moving towards the YP408s, which are getting split up, and Pakuda is intercepting. 408s against the one BTR 60P is not a fair fight for the 60P, and there she goes. Yukyonde are still alive. Now, it's going to take them a while to get to the command section, but they might get there. Red 4 is now pushing back with a couple of Ranaku Yekari. Their transport's getting killed off, courtesy of the Carl Gustav M2 from the SBS. Royal Marines are immediately pushing back against them, and so is their mortar, the FE-432. I'm surprised not to see any kind of logistics vehicle go towards the Challenger 2 yet. They have a FOB, or actually they have two FOBs, but it seems like the repair of the Challenger 2 is not high on their list of priorities. There we go, Charlie is... oh, sorry, never mind. Charlie is counter-capped. No, the command unit from Volkov is moving. All the Red 4 infantry here got pushed out. The Fallschirmjäger, Corps Mariniers, they're all moving towards the presumed position of the Jiwaban. And of course the Jiwaban are not going to sit around and wait for these guys to arrive. Reniko trying to find any spot of cover. Sort of ducking shells left and right. These poor guys really don't have a lot of positions to go to. Sure, and there are some craters here, but that doesn't work. Oh, that looks like, what is that, an IL-28 or BF5? Could be a B5. Sad I didn't catch the kill shot on that one. But I'd say it does add to the atmosphere, having a crashed aircraft over there. Blue 4 still shelling the position over here, using the AS-90. And one thing that I haven't quite seen fire yet... but, oh, there we go. They've been detected. One thing I haven't quite seen fire yet, but which may have been destroyed, was the Lars. Where did the Lars go? Oh, interesting. F-84F rocket attack plane. 50 points only, but perfect for these kinds of assassination missions. Infantry spotted, infantry wiped out. No more flank problem. There are a couple of BRDM-2 Strela 1s. Not really too sure what these guys hope to achieve, especially considering that Red 4 should know at this point that there is a Blue 4 picket line, and that getting into this sector is going to be really quite tricky, let alone with a couple of Strela 1s. Now look at the picket line that Blue 4 has set up here. Stormer, Spartan, Falcon, FE-432, Hilo. Over here they don't have as much. But anything that storms up this road is going to receive a very interesting welcoming party from the Fallschirmjäger. HQ section, for just the safety of it, jumping one building. Fallschirmjäger here getting wiped out. Corps Mariniers back up to full strength. And still, the command infantry is on the move. They have taken some damage. They're down to one guy. Good thing for Red 4 that they were able to survive, because CVs in this game are particularly expensive to replace. Another F-84F comes in, stunning the Challenger marksman, but not enough to kill it. The Challenger 2 has taken on some repairs, but so has its adversary in the form of the T-72M1 mod. So once again, we got a slugfest between two tanks. Rate of fire, 9 rounds a minute. Rate of fire, 9 rounds a minute. It's going to come down to accuracy. Whoever fires this last shot and hits, wins. And it... oh! The T-72 M1 Mod gets destroyed, but that impact on the Challenger was here. That was very close. That could have been sudden death for both of these guys. Could have been mutual destruction, but the Challenger 2 barely, narrowly survived. Hopefully, though, the SBS can intercept the LSTR, or the Challenger 2 will not survive it. Another F-84F, already rearmed. You just plunk in a couple of rocket pods and you're good to go. Looking for a target. I'm curious to see what this plane is going to do. Looks like they're thinking there might be something... No, actually, no. Krot's probably motivating these guys to push. What is your plan with the F-84F? If any. At this point, I'm not so sure what Red 4 still has left as a play. Because it seems like they don't have that many more units remaining. Blue 4, interestingly, has a Tiger behind their lines and is able to start wiping out these things one by one. And I think that might be what the F-84F was waiting for. It's now lobbing its HGMs, the Hot 2s, against the Sergei. It still has 2 of them left. It has found the command tank. Hit the command tank once. If it can hit it again... Oh, it's pulling back into the tree line. Missed. Now you don't have any options left. Because I don't believe that the Snebs are going to be enough to kill a Copa, a T-72. Triple Sergei immediately rushing forward, pushing back against this offensive unit by the Tiger. Offensive maneuver. Tiger not sticking around to see how effective those anti-air guns are going to be and immediately rushing away. But by losing control of Bravo, because they have to relocate their tank, Blue 4 is now the +2. Blue 4 is also getting into contact with Corps Mariniers versus Ranico and Standard Jägeri, which is really bad news for the Royal Marines. F-84F once again looking for a target and finding it. And there we go, the command tank is down. Leaving Red 4 at just 1 command infantry unit. I think that pretty much decided the match. 1 Tiger helicopter behind enemy lines and perfectly played by Krot there. Waiting for assistance from the F-84F, wiping out some anti-air units before being able to use its own HGMs, and then targeting the enemy units. Now the Strelas, interestingly, have taken a position behind enemy lines. They managed to get here while I wasn't paying attention, so probably around there. And they're now... They're now shooting down some of the Blue 4 aircraft, or at least attempting to. But these things are not terribly accurate, not very effective, and they are having trouble hitting even the, I think, 0 ECM F-84F. All Blue 4 needs to do is just send out some of these transports, and they just get it. Red 4 no longer in control of their spawn. Just reduced to Alpha and Charlie. That's where they have their CVs. By putting their CV back into Charlie, they managed to stem the bleeding, but Blue 4 probably has a pretty good idea where that CV is. It can't be here. This position is not terribly likely because the BGS might be able to spot it. So it is, as far as I'm concerned, a matter of time till the AS-90 starts lobbing some shells into this forest and maybe, luckily, catch the command infantry unit. Our victorious Tiger Helo is once again flying back to base, going back for some fuel and, more importantly, Hot 2 missiles. And with a good stealth, these things are very hard to find once they're gone. F-84F coming in again. What are you going to try and strike now? The Motorschützen, perhaps? Yep, wiping out only 2 operators from the Motorschützen, so it's not that effective. But it did further the morale punishment, so they're panicked and shaken. And the Corps Mariniers are now allowing to push up. Mi-8P getting suppressed and then killed off by the Corps Mariniers. We got 1 BMP, 1 KT trying to assist. Corps Mariniers are losing some guys, but so are the Motorschützen. This match is pretty much decided. And I think it mostly came down to that maneuver with the Tiger Helo. So if you happen to come up against Freepoint, then beware of tigers. Because the Tiger Helo, if they get behind your lines, they will mess you up. At this point, you can see blue 4 units pretty much all over the place. We got Fallschirmjäger, Corps Mariniers even behind enemy lines. They have wiped out the CV here. And they're about to engage the last CV. But a Sergei is getting in the way, and it's not getting in the way for too long. 2 more Sergeis pushing in. Taco is definitely trying to defend his CV. I think even going so far as blind firing this forest. Red 4 has nothing left. 2 transports. There go both Sergeis. Ranico against Corps Mariniers. They won't win that. I think I have never in the tournament seen a destruction of an enemy team that goes to this level, where they only have 2 transports left. Usually, Blue 4, in this case, Blue 4 is capable of putting the enemy out of their misery by killing all the CVs, but now they killed almost everything. So that was a victory to Freepoint, and Freepoint makes it into the semi-finals. Now, what team they're going to meet there? It could be Blitz Houndberg, it could be Rasputin's team, or it could be GSI, because GSI still has to play a match against Rasputin, and depending on who wins that, gets to face Blitz Houndberg, and the winner from the match versus Blitz Houndberg gets to face Freepoint. So Freepoint for now in the semi-finals, and I wonder who they're going to come up against, but that's going to come up in a couple of days. I hope you guys are enjoying the tournament so far. We are definitely getting really close to the finals. I imagine, or I suspect that that's going to be in about 2 to 3 weeks, something to that tune. I also happen to have the the pending birth of my son in 2 to 3 weeks. So I will try to put up the content as and when I can. But if there are some gaps, especially when the tournament matches are concerned, that is why. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to check out the challenge link to see how the teams are doing. And I'll catch you guys soon for another video.